So do you ever need an idea for a quick and easy and delicious meal that you can get on the table in a few minutes? Well, I've got one for you. Today we're making seasoned tofu, some mac and cheese sauce, and a few vegetables on the side. But it's going to be quick and it's going to be delicious, I promise you. My name is Sabrina. Welcome to my channel where I give you delicious vegan recipes that are good for anyone. So I'm glad you're here. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, and I'll meet you in the kitchen.
So let's get started. We're going to start by seasoning some water. Please season your water when you're making noodles because otherwise it's very difficult to flavor them. We're going to use a half box of elbow noodles, but you can really use any shape that you like, and cook till they are al dente. Then we're going to make our sauce using a non-dairy milk and some butter for the roux, a whole bunch of seasonings that will give it some nice flavor, as well as some flour, which will thicken it up. So once your pasta is all done, save about a cup of that liquid because we are going to put it in the sauce and that'll thicken it up. When your noodles are done, you want to drain those noodles, rinse some of that starch off, and put it right back in the pot. We're going for the least amount of dirty dishes here, so make the macaroni and cheese sauce right in the pot. On to the sauce. We're going to melt our butter. Again, it's a dairy-free butter. I use Earth Balance. And you're going to put your flour in. Butter and flour is a basic roux. That is the baseline for most sauces, cheese sauces anyway, carbonaras, whatever you're trying to thicken up. You want to use equal amount of fat to equal amount of flour. See how it's bubbling? That means it's ready to go. Now let's add our seasonings in, which is garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, pepper, all those things. Now it's a lot, so it's going to look really weird, but if you just keep stirring, this roux will get nice and colorful and it thickens up even more. We're going to add something else to this as well, just to keep it, add a little bit more flavor. But we are going to add the milk first, and the milk is what will give us some depth. And some breadth actually, so because we want a nice amount of sauce. If you would like lots of sauce, just double this recipe. Look at that. Once you add that milk, see how it sticks to your utensil there? If that's how thick you want it, then it is done and ready for the noodles. Lastly, what I added here was some nutritional yeast. Now, nutritional yeast is used by a lot of vegans to add a cheesy flavor. I think it's partly cheesy, but also to me, it adds almost a chickeny flavor. But that's how you make the sauce. Let's add it right to our noodles, and you're good to go. If you have a favorite non-dairy cheese, you can put that in at this time, or you could have put it in while you were making the sauce. I've made so many different kinds of sauces, just trying some things. This is one of many. So hopefully this one works for you. This is that extra liquid that we took out of the finished noodles. It's just really a lot of very starchy water, so I just wanted to cream it up a little bit more, and you'll see that it looks great. We are going to bake this for a little bit, so just get any kind of dish you want. I like to cook in glass, and I put a little bit of oil on the bottom so it doesn't stick. And we're gonna put it right in here. I have an oven preheating on 400, and we're going to pour this in here and put the lid on and pop it in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. Again, if you have a shredded dairy-free cheese that you like to use, I would top it with this and then put the lid on. And then once you get to about 5 minutes before it's done, you can take the lid off, and that will make sure that it melts really nicely. The closer it is to the flame, the more brown the top of that cheese will get. All right, let's move on to our tofu, one of my favorite pieces. Now, if you follow me, you know that tofu has no flavor whatsoever. It's really just a fabulous protein source, minimally processed. But the smaller you cut this, the more edges you have, meaning the more flavor you can get into every open pore, okay? So we're gonna dice this up into I would say even dices, right? Even shapes, because that way it will season well and it will cook around the same amount of time. Okay, so you want to take your time, try to get them as even as possible. That way they will cook the same. Okay. Once you get it all cut, we're going to put it in a bowl and begin to season this up. Again, it has absolutely no flavor, so whatever you put in here is what it's going to taste like. And I'm going to flavor this up really nicely. So we're going to start with olive oil and just mix that up because we want all the seasonings to stick to everything. And we're also going to use amino acids, which is, liquid aminos, sorry. And really liquid aminos is your soy sauce, but that's what a lot of times we use here. Mix them together. This is a great base, okay? Again, that olive oil is going to make sure that everything gets stuck to the outside edges of your tofu, and then the liquid aminos really will just make sure that it's a nice base to get started with the flavor because it's salty. So you can really stop here, but I like to add a lot of flavor to my tofu. So we're going to add a little bit of onion powder. Since I don't have chopped vegetables in here, I like to get some flavor. I put onion and garlic powder in just about everything. So there we go with the fine garlic powder. It's a great way to get started. I'm also going to season this up with a little bit of black pepper, not very much. However, if you like things spicy, you can even replace that with some cayenne pepper or some other type of pepper. We're going with some ground coriander as well, so it's going to have a little bit of a Mediterranean flair, but I don't have a lot of those types of seasonings, but I do like to use coriander, which is really ground cilantro. Smoked paprika is my absolute favorite. If you don't have some of this, you got to get you a jar of smoked paprika. It just adds a fabulous flavor to anything that I'm cooking. As far as salt is concerned, I'm only going to use about a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a 1/2 teaspoon, depending on how salty you like it. Because remember, we started with liquid aminos, which is like soy sauce. And so it already has a salty base to it. We're just adding flavor now, not more salt. Okay? Mix that up really good. And we're going to top that off with just a little bit. See how that is beautifully coated? Every piece is coated. That's why I like using small cuts of tofu. We're going to top this off with about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, okay? Now the cornstarch is going to allow it to fry up very nicely, almost crispy on the outside. So once you add your cornstarch, just stir that up, make sure that it's well coated. Every single piece is well coated, and you're going to see how it almost seals in all of the seasonings that we put on our tofu, okay? And you'll see that at the very end. So I'm just using a nonstick pan, a little bit of oil. If you don't want to use oil, you don't need to if you have a good pan. I would not suggest you try to water saute this because you'll end up taking your seasonings off. But I have it probably on a medium high. I have a gas stove, so which is my favorite, so I can kind of gauge how hot I want it. But look at that. See that crispiness? That is because of the cornstarch. So anytime you want to have a little bit of crispiness on the outside, but you don't want to deep fry it, I'd say try the cornstarch method. It really does work well. And here we go. It didn't take long at all. I had my seasoned tofu bites. I had a little bit of corn, some string beans, well-seasoned veggies go with anything. And there is my mac and cheese sauce. Mac and cheese with some sauce. Okay? This is just a very easy go-to kind of meal. If you make enough, you can probably get a couple meals out of this. My favorite is to have lunch for the next day. So I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Stay blessed.